Welcome back to the channel, the ultimate destination where we dive deep into the absolute asphalt veins of global automotive culture. When the average person thinks of Los Angeles, California, their mind might immediately jump to Hollywood glamour, movie stars, or the endless gridlock of commuter traffic on the 405 freeway. But if you look a little closer, specifically at the historic streets of East LA and South Central, you will find a rolling, breathing art gallery. This is a mechanical symphony composed of candy apple paint, perfectly polished chrome, and high-pressure hydraulic fluid. We are talking about the undisputed kings of the boulevard, lowriders. While the global automotive scene often obsesses over high-speed street racing culture, chasing aggressive apexes and top-speed records in twin turbocharged Toyota Supras, or dominating the underground highways in all-wheel drive Nissan Skyline R34s and R35s, the streets of East Los Angeles beat to an entirely different, deliberate rhythm. This culture was born in the Golden State, where the philosophy and the ultimate motto isn't about how incredibly fast you can cross the finish line or how much horsepower you can push to the rear wheels. No, this lifestyle is entirely about how immaculate you look getting to your destination. It is about the paseo, the slow, proud cruise to see and be seen by the entire neighborhood. Today, we are embarking on a comprehensive, incredibly detailed journey to explore the 5 absolute greatest lowriders that have ever ruled the streets of Southern California. We will dive deep into the rich historical origins, the intricate, gravity-defying mechanical engineering that makes these heavy steel machines dance, and exactly why these specific automotive models became the undisputed, highly revered legends in the passionate lowrider community. So buckle up, drop your suspension as low as it can possibly go, and let's cruise slowly through the top 5 greatest lowriders of Los Angeles. Car 1, 1964 Chevrolet Impala. We must absolutely begin our journey with the undisputed king of the streets, the absolute, undeniable holy grail of the entire lowrider world, the legendary 1964 Chevrolet Impala. If the vibrant Los Angeles lowrider culture had to choose a single flagship vessel to represent its entire existence, this beautiful machine is undoubtedly it. The 1964 Impala is recognized instantly on a global scale, fundamentally transcending standard car culture to become a permanent, foundational staple of West Coast hip-hop, cinematic history, and urban folklore. But why exactly the 64 model? To truly understand this phenomenon, we have to look far beneath the shimmering, flawless exterior and examine the very skeletal structure of the car. Back in the late 1950s and extending into the early 1960s, the engineers at General Motors utilized a highly specific chassis design known throughout the industry as the X-frame. Unlike the more traditional perimeter frames that run along the far outside edges of a vehicle's body, the X-frame literally narrows dramatically in the exact middle of the chassis, right directly under the transmission tunnel, forming a massive steel X. For a traditional hot rodder or a track-focused street racer looking for a rigid chassis to handle high-speed corners, this frame lacked essential torsional rigidity. But for a pioneering lowrider in Los Angeles, it was an absolute unparalleled gift from the automotive engineering gods. The unique architecture of the X-frame allowed brilliant neighborhood builders to easily, seamlessly tuck massive hydraulic cylinders, banks of heavy deep cycle marine batteries, and complex fluid pumps straight into the chassis and the cavernous trunk without ever compromising or altering the sweeping, beautifully flat exterior lines of the vehicle. Speaking of those legendary hydraulics, the mechanics here are nothing short of fascinating historical ingenuity. Originally, the very early lowriders ingeniously repurposed surplus aviation parts left over from the military, specifically utilizing Pesco hydraulic pumps harvested from the landing gear of World War II fighter planes to artificially raise and lower their custom vehicles. By the time the 64 Impala officially hit the streets and became massively popular, dedicated mechanics were already custom building extreme setups with high-pressure Marzocchi pump heads and precision-machined custom dump valves, allowing the heavy steel Impala to literally bounce violently off the Los Angeles pavement. Aesthetically speaking, the 1964 Impala is considered a masterclass of automotive transition. It finally shed the flamboyant, massive, towering tail fins of the late 1950s era, opting instead for a significantly cleaner, sharper, and much more squared-off aesthetic that perfectly effortlessly captured the cool, restrained, and confident vibe of the mid-1960s. When you compare it directly to its main marketplace rival at the time, the Ford Galaxy, the Chevrolet Impala was visibly sleeker, sat substantially lower from the factory floor, and famously featured that iconic symmetrical six-taillight rear higher-end design that officially became a celebrated Chevrolet signature look. The car was originally intended by the Chevrolet executives to be a highly comfortable full-size family cruiser, very often equipped from the factory with a capable 327 cubic inch V8, or the legendary massive 409 cubic inch V8 engine. Yet, on the sun-baked streets of LA, it was reborn as a blank canvas for cultural expression. It was permanently immortalized in the media by monumental hip-hop legends like Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre, firmly cementing its untouchable status not just as a classic automobile, but as a worldwide, universally recognized symbol of authentic West Coast street culture. Car 2, 1939. Chevrolet Master Deluxe. Stepping significantly further back in time, our second featured car takes us all the way to the very foundational historical roots of lowrider culture in Los Angeles. Long before the complex hydraulic suspensions were invented, long before the sparkling Dayton wire wheels became standard, and long before the heavy metallic flake paint jobs dazzled the boulevards, there were the bombs. And the undisputed, highly revered king of the bombs is without a doubt the 1939 Chevrolet Master Deluxe. To truly understand the soul of this magnificent car, you have to mentally travel back to post-World War II Los Angeles, specifically diving into the vibrant Mexican-American communities deeply rooted in the East Side. During the famous Zoot Suit era of the 1940s, young, stylish car enthusiasts desperately wanted a way to distinctly differentiate themselves from the mainstream hot rodders. While the traditional hot rod guys were aggressively stripping heavy fenders, ripping off bumpers, and chopping the roofs off early Ford V8 coupes to go as humanly fast as possible on the dusty, dry lake beds of El Mirage, the early pioneer lowriders consciously went in the exact opposite direction. They intentionally kept absolutely all the heavy metal, the massive rolling fenders, the luxurious intricate chrome accessories, and their primary goal was to get the entire car as uncomfortably close to the earth as the laws of gravity would physically allow. The 1939 Master Deluxe quickly earned the affectionate and highly respected nickname Bomb or Bomba, primarily because of its beautifully rounded, bulbous, heavy aerodynamic shape that literally resembled a vintage World War II explosive bomb dropping out of the sky. Because highly articulated hydraulic suspension technology simply hadn't been invented for passenger cars yet, these brilliant, resourceful pioneers achieved the incredibly iconic, ground-scraping low stance through sheer, raw ingenuity and neighborhood engineering. They would meticulously heat the factory steel coil springs with heavy-duty blowtorches until the metal physically sagged under the weight of the car, or they would simply take a hacksaw and cut the heavy coils entirely. Some dedicated purists would even throw literally hundreds of pounds of heavy sandbags, lead weights, or solid concrete blocks directly into the cavernous trunk just to force the rear end to aggressively scrape against the pavement, throwing spectacular sparks at night. When you carefully compare the imposing 39 Master Deluxe to the equivalent Ford coupes of the exact same historical era, the Chevy was almost always heavily favored by the community for its undeniably luxurious, prominent front grille design and its incredibly smooth, pontoon-style flowing fenders. Under the massive steel hood, these incredibly heavy cars were absolutely not built for aggressive speed or track performance. They featured highly reliable, notoriously durable, but very modest inline-six engines, affectionately known as the Stovebolt 6. The entire overarching philosophy of owning and driving this specific car was the concept of the Paseo, the incredibly slow, highly deliberate, and deeply proud cruise designed strictly to see and be seen by everyone on the block. Today in the modern era, seeing a fully, meticulously restored 1939 Master Deluxe slowly cruising down the historic asphalt of Whittier Boulevard is exactly like watching a piece of rolling history. They are extremely often heavily accessorized with incredibly rare, highly sought-after factory options, like heavy cylindrical swamp coolers hanging from the passenger side window, massive chrome bumper guards, and elaborate Fulton sun visors. All of these factors combine to make them heavily prized, incredibly expensive, and globally respected artifacts of pure Los Angeles automotive history. Car 3, 1987, Chevrolet Monte Carlo LS moving aggressively forward into the much more modern, highly influential era of the vibrant 1980s and the explosive 1990s. We finally arrive at our third legendary LA street king, the formidable 1987 Chevrolet Monte Carlo, specifically the highly desirable luxury sport, or LS model. While the sweeping 60s Impalas and the heavy bulbous 40s bombs perfectly represent the vintage, deeply historical soul of early lowriding, the Monte Carlo forcefully represents the aggressive, highly dynamic, street-level revival of the culture that perfectly coincided with the massive global hip-hop explosion of the late 20th century. This particular car belongs to the incredibly famous, highly versatile General Motors G-body platform, a legendary chassis architecture which also included other highly popular boulevard heavyweights like the Buick Regal, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, and the Pontiac Grand Prix. So why exactly did the 1987 Monte Carlo specifically become such an absolute heavy hitter in the hyper-competitive Los Angeles car scene? It was the absolute perfect storm of economic affordability, widespread availability, and incredibly robust mechanical engineering. By the time the late 1980s rolled around, the classic heavily desired 60s Impalas were rapidly becoming incredibly rare, highly collectible, and extremely expensive to purchase. Young, hungry, and highly creative builders in South Central LA desperately needed a brand new canvas to express their automotive art. The Monte Carlo was the perfect answer. It was a traditional rear-wheel drive, full-frame V8 powered car in an era when most major automotive manufacturers were rapidly transitioning to cheaper, flimsier front-wheel drive unibody cars. That heavy-duty, full-perimeter steel frame was absolutely crucial to its success. Unlike unibody cars that would literally and catastrophically tear their own sheet metal apart from the immense, violent stress of hydraulic jumping, the Monte Carlo's heavy, solid steel frame could be fully wrapped, reinforced, and heavily welded with incredibly thick steel plates by skilled custom fabricators, allowing the car to easily handle the most extreme, violent hydraulic setups imaginable. When you closely examine the underlying mechanics, G-body lowriders very often feature some of the absolute most radical, incredibly high voltage hydraulic systems ever built by human hands. We are talking about highly complex trunk-filling setups running anywhere from 4 to 8 or sometimes even 12 heavy-duty marine batteries wired in series, actively powering multiple high-pressure hydraulic pumps to hit massive, high-flying three-wheel motion that defies gravity. Comparatively, while the Monte Carlo's corporate cousin, the infamous all-black Buick Grand National, is highly revered in the traditional muscle car and aggressive street racing world for its massive turbocharged straight-line speed, the Monte Carlo LS was heavily chosen for pure, unadulterated style. With its distinct, highly aerodynamic Euro-style front fascia, composite flush-mounted headlights, and sharp, formal roofline, it achieved massive global fame as the quintessential ultimate 90s lowrider. It was forever permanently immortalized in legendary Hollywood movies like Training Day, where actor Denzel Washington's incredibly sinister, pitch-black Monte Carlo essentially became a massive, intimidating lead character of its own. It is a vehicle that physically demands and commands absolute respect, perfectly blending the quiet, comfortable luxury of a personal coupe with the highly aggressive, fiercely unapologetic stance of true Los Angeles street royalty. We are absolutely just getting started, and we are about to reveal the absolute undisputed pinnacle of classic lowrider styling with our 4th and 5th incredible cars. But right before we drop the hydraulic suspension on the next historic legend, I need you to make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and leave a massive like on the video. This actively helps the channel keep cruising down the boulevard to bring you more high quality automotive history. Also, I absolutely want to hear directly from you down in the comments section. What is your absolute all-time favorite lowrider model, or exactly what city, state, or country are you currently watching this video from? Let us know your thoughts, and let's get right back out to the streets. Car 4, 1959 Chevrolet Impala. Continuing our highly immersive, incredibly detailed journey through the absolute ultimate Los Angeles automotive heavyweights, we arrive at the 4th masterpiece on our list, the wildly extravagant, undeniably gorgeous, and historically monumental 1959 Chevrolet Impala. If you want to have a serious conversation about maximum visual impact, unadulterated street presence, and pure, unapologetic automotive art, this is exactly the car you talk about. To truly appreciate this magnificent machine, we must look at the specific historical context of its creation. The late 1950s was the absolute height of the global space race. American automotive design during this fascinating era was heavily, almost obsessively, influenced by the cutting-edge aesthetics of supersonic jet fighters, towering chrome rockets, and the boundless optimistic promise of a sci-fi, space-age tomorrow. General Motors' legendary, highly influential head of design, Harley Earl, oversaw the broad strokes of this extravagant era, but it was the brilliant designer Roy B. McKenzie who actively helped finalize the dramatically radical rear-end styling of the 59 model. While modern automotive culture very often fixates purely on the high-speed, wind tunnel-tested aerodynamics of Japanese street racing legends, chasing fractions of a second in lap times and heavily tuned forced induction machines, the incredible 1959 Impala is a rolling, beautiful reminder of an entirely different philosophy of transportation. It commands absolute, undeniable respect from everyone on the sidewalk without ever needing to break the local speed limit. It is quite literally a luxurious ocean liner built for the asphalt. The absolute defining, most iconic features of this specific car are its massive rear tail fins. Unlike the vertical, sharp, towering fins of the Cadillac models from the exact same production year, the 1959 Impala featured incredibly massive, wildly horizontal batwing fins that flared sharply outward, serving as the perfect housing for the aggressively styled, beautifully teardrop-shaped cat-eye taillights. To this very day, over 6 decades later, it remains one of the single most recognizable, highly celebrated rear-end designs in the entire history of global automotive manufacturing, transforming a factory 1959 Impala into a proper, show-stopping lowrider on the highly competitive streets of Los Angeles is widely considered to be a pinnacle achievement for any custom builder. Because of its massive, sweeping, incredibly long body panels, the underlying bodywork and the intensive paint preparation have to be absolutely unconditionally flawless. A single microscopic ripple or dent in that massive rear quarter panel completely ruins the magical illusion of the car. The 59 sits on a variation of the legendary X frame, very much like our previously mentioned 64 model, making it highly adaptable and incredibly receptive to the installation of complex, multi-pump hydraulic cylinders. When a meticulously built 59 Impala is fully laid out, with its heavy steel frame literally resting flat on the warm California asphalt, and its 13-inch Dayton wire wheels tucked deep inside those massive wheel wells, it looks significantly less like a traditional passenger car and much more like a hovering, incredibly stylish alien spacecraft preparing for takeoff. Originally, these massive cars rolled off the Detroit assembly lines with engine options ranging from a modest, reliable inline 6 all the way up to a massive, incredibly potent 348 cubic inch W Series V8 engine topped with a highly desirable tri-power triple carburetor setup. Interestingly, the 59 Impala has achieved massive, unparalleled global recognition that extends far beyond the borders of California. In Japan, which proudly boasts a massive, highly dedicated, and incredibly passionate underground lowrider scene heavily inspired by the lifestyle of East Los Angeles, the 1959 Impala is treated with absolute godlike reverence. The financial cost to import, completely restore, and meticulously maintain a pristine 59 Impala in Tokyo or Yokohama, complete with full custom metal engraving, a fully chromed undercarriage, and an intricate hard-lined hydraulic setup can very easily exceed hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is the ultimate, undeniable flex of master craftsmanship, a rolling, beautiful testament to a bygone era when American cars were fearlessly built with dramatic, unapologetic flair. Car 5, 1965 Buick Riviera. Finally, we reach our fifth and final undisputed legend of the boulevard, a car that brings a distinctly dark, highly sophisticated, and almost dangerous elegance to the sun-baked streets of Los Angeles, the legendary 1965 Buick Riviera. While the iconic Chevrolet Impala undoubtedly dominated the mainstream highly visible lowrider scene across the entire country, the Buick Riviera was heavily reserved for the specific type of builder who wanted something vastly more exclusive, a touch more luxurious, and undeniably sinister in its visual presence. The Riviera was General Motors' highly anticipated, incredibly potent answer to the immensely popular Ford Thunderbird, forcefully entering the market in the highly competitive, highly profitable personal luxury car segment. The overall physical design of the 65 Riviera is still widely considered by leading automotive historians and professional designers to be one of the absolute most beautiful, perfectly proportioned American cars ever produced in the 20th century. Conceptualized by GM's legendary styling chief Bill Mitchell, the incredibly sharp design was famously inspired by a striking, unique combination of a custom-bodied British Rolls-Royce and the incredibly aggressive, razor-sharp profile of a bespoke Italian Ferrari that Mitchell happened to see through a foggy window during a trip to London. For the dedicated, style-conscious lowrider community in Los Angeles, the Riviera was an absolute dream come true. The 1965 model specifically is incredibly highly sought after by collectors and customizers today because it was the absolute only production year that featured the legendary, mechanically fascinating clamshell concealed headlights. These dual headlights were ingeniously hidden behind vertically stacked motorized metal grills located at the leading edges of the front fenders. When the driver pulled the headlight switch, these covers would dramatically, smoothly open up like a pair of mechanical eyelids. Underneath that gorgeous, sweeping bodywork, the Riviera did not utilize the famous Chevrolet X-frame. Instead, it used a highly robust, traditional cruciform or perimeter frame. While this different architecture required significantly more custom fabrication, heavy welding, and careful planning to successfully fit a massive, multi-pump hydraulic setup compared to an Impala, the immense effort was always, undoubtedly worth it to the builders. The Riviera is an incredibly heavy, highly substantial car, extremely often powered from the factory by a monstrous, torque-heavy 401 or an even larger 425 cubic inch nailhead V8 engine, famously known for producing massive amounts of low-end grunt capable of moving all that heavy steel with effortless grace. When a classic 1965 Buick Riviera is finally given the complete, no-expense-spared Los Angeles lowrider treatment, the physical transformation is absolutely breathtaking to witness in person. Master builders usually painstakingly strip the car of any and all excess factory emblems, badges, and unnecessary trim to completely emphasize its incredibly razor-sharp fender lines and the highly unique, aggressive W-shaped front-end design. When it is expertly painted in a dark, mysterious, multi-layered candy color like midnight blue, black cherry, or dark emerald green, and sitting aggressively, dangerously low over a set of 13x7 reverse offset gold spoke wire wheels, the Riviera exudes a quiet, overwhelming sense of dangerous power. Unlike the more flamboyant Impalas, it absolutely doesn't need to hop high into the air, completely lock up its suspension, or bounce violently down the street to instantly command everyone's attention. It is widely considered the ultimate gentleman's lowrider, a highly sophisticated, beautifully tailored vehicle famously owned by numerous high-profile celebrities, visionary musicians, and influential cultural icons who deeply appreciate the perfect, rare blend of raw, unapologetic American muscle and tailored, high-end, executive luxury. The 1965 Riviera stands today as an incredibly powerful, visually striking testament to the amazing diversity, the incredible artistic range, and the boundless creativity found directly within LA's historic lowrider culture. From the deeply rooted, historically rich origins of the pre-war 1930s bombs slowly scraping the pavement, to the wildly optimistic, space-age fins of the late 1950s, the absolute undisputed, world-renowned reign of the 1960s X-frames, and all the way to the tough, street-level edge of the 1980s G-bodies, the city of Los Angeles has consistently proven itself to be the absolute ultimate, unrivaled proving ground for incredible automotive artistry. These beautiful machines are not just simple vehicles used to get from point A to point B. They are highly cherished rolling canvases, deeply loved family heirlooms passed down through generations, and proud, unyielding symbols of a vibrant, passionate culture that absolutely refuses to be ignored or forgotten. The timeless, deeply respected lowrider philosophy teaches us all a very valuable lesson that sometimes in a fast-paced world obsessed with speed, slowing down, taking your time, and perfecting your craft is the absolute best way to make a powerful, lasting statement. Thank you so much for taking the time to cruise the historic boulevards with us today. If you truly enjoyed this deep, comprehensive dive into the absolute top 5 greatest lowriders of Los Angeles, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video to support the culture, and always keep an eye firmly fixed on your rearview mirror for our next highly detailed automotive episode. Until then, keep it incredibly low and always take it slow.